Hey everyone, welcome to Build Your SaaS. This is the, well, hold on, I wasn't reading it. Start over. Hey everyone, welcome to Build Your SaaS. This is the behind the scenes story of building a web app in 2020. I'm John Buda, a software engineer.
And I'm Justin Jackson, and I think I'm losing my voice again. Follow along as we build transistor.fm.
Were you screaming too loudly on Saturday when Biden won the election? Or what was happening?
I mean, there was definitely a lot of cheering going on in Canada.
Me too.
There's definitely folks who support Trump here, which I do not understand it, but his politics do have appeal outside of the U.S., but the vast majority of Canadians that I know and love are pretty happy to see him out of the White House.
Unfortunately, 70 million people still voted for him here, so I think we still have a long way to go.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll try not to get into too much of that because I've been on Twitter, fighting too much, I think.
It was a nice moment of joy, though, for at least a while.
Yeah. I mean, just seeing everyone celebrate, and I can't help myself but get into it.
We don't have
Okay. Let's just
maybe
keep
there's
going.
light at the end of the tunnel. Let's leave it at that and move on.
Oh man. But I am relieved. I think it is going, especially domestically. And when I say domestically, I mean, domestically, but also for the world economy. I think a new administration is going to be welcome. I am worried about the economy, and connected to the economy is COVID-19, and there's just a bunch of things that really need to be addressed. So I'm hoping. I mean, and there's even a new administration. This is going to be difficult to manage all of this. There's always a transition. It's COVID's kind of getting out of control, so it'll be a bumpy winter. And what's amazing to me is how many people are starting businesses still, and in certain categories, how well businesses are doing. I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, okay, when is like the next wave of economic despair going to come?
Right. I mean, I think there's a delayed, there's going to be a delay, I think, in terms of other larger corporations doing rounds of layoffs. Certainly certain industries have been fine and have even improved, but other ones have been just decimated. I don't know what's going to happen this winter as far as travel and leisure and restaurants and music venues and all these other places that, employ a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time, we're seeing anyone really in the, I guess we'll call it the online creator or online maker category. These categories are really on fire right now.
Yeah.
And I've kind of openly wondered how soft that market is, meaning if a lot of those folks are using their personal credit card to, buy MailChimp so that they can start an email newsletter, or, pay Squarespace so they can start a blog. How soft is that market? How fragile is it?
Yeah, we've seen it a little bit with Transistor. I mean, we've had people who bought a subscription a year ago on a yearly basis, and it recently expired or was about to, re-up for another year. And a lot of people have reached out and said, hey, we can't really actually make this work this year. We got to cancel it. So yeah, we've seen that. It's out there, and I get it.
Yeah, it's out there, but it still doesn't seem significant enough. And it is interesting, how, if you were in the travel industry, this is not good. Restaurant industry, not good unless you're creating ways for restaurants to survive, like online ordering and things like that. But you always kind of wonder, like, as you're stacking these layers, when the foundation of the layers starts to crumble, how much is it crumbling, and does that affect everyone who's built a business on top? So if we use restaurants as an example, they're ordering food from food wholesalers, they're paying MailChimp for their email newsletter, they're paying Squarespace for their website. At what point does, the restaurant industry collapsing then kind of go up the chain and then cause everything else?
Yeah. I mean, I think you saw that with the auto industry in 2008, right? When it was kind of collapsing, but it also affected all the other small distributors who provided parts and labor for the larger car companies. So yeah, it's definitely.
Like you said, we've seen some folks, like maybe we've had some customers churn, but overall our churn rate is low as it's ever been. This might be instructive for people who are looking for opportunities. I think the creator economy is only going to grow. And when I started doing independent stuff, like selling, self-published books and stuff like that, I thought I was late then. And now I'm just waking up to the fact that, no, this is just getting started. Like, the only people that were doing that before were people in the tech industry. And now this is expanding kind of beyond that niche. There's a lot of people who want to start their own business or want to release creative work, whether it's a podcast, a blog, or a book, or a video, or anything. Like, people want to do this. And the younger generation, like, this is exactly what they want to do. They've been raised on YouTube influencers, right?
Yeah, right.
So it'll be interesting to see, how big of a market this ends up being. But I think this is still very early, and there's going to be a lot of people retiring early too, and they're going to want to be creating online. So it's not just young people. So yeah, it's something I'm just kind of thinking about. And I think everybody, even if your business is doing good, you're kind of like, okay, like, what is going on out there?
Yeah, it seems like a precarious, situation at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think people are getting, they're optimistic about this news that came out about a potential vaccine today, but that's obviously not going to happen until the middle of summer anyway. But it's who knows? It's going to be a rough winter, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we all cope, because we've all been out in this nice weather and being stuck inside, and then it's like you can't eat on restaurant patios and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we quickly talk about new stuff we've released? Because I think we haven't released an episode in a while, and there's a bunch of new stuff in Transistor that's worth talking about.
There is, yeah.
So first up, we had the Zapier integration. And this was an interesting one because we hired our friend Mike to work with us on this.
Yeah, so Mike worked on it. It was great to work with him. So this is built on top of the API that we released, which we haven't actually fully released publicly yet. You still have to sort of request access to it, which, I don't know, that'll change at some point. We'll just turn it on for everyone.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It feels like it's been battle tested enough already. People have built stuff on it. The Zapier integration is now using it. Yeah, it feels like that API should just be turned on for everybody.
Yeah, the Zapier integration, that was fun to work on with Mike. I think it was interesting for him because he kind of always wanted to build something on it and never had the opportunity and didn't know too much about how it worked, but obviously figured it out pretty quick. So there's only a handful of things you can do with it through Transistor, but that handful of things you can do combined with other integrations just enables a ton of different things, like things that I wouldn't even think of and other customers might think of. But it's mostly around episodes being published or created. And if you have one of the enhanced private podcast subscriptions, there's a bunch of features around subscribers being added and removed, or the ability to add or remove a subscriber. So it enables lots of different things. If you add a subscriber on through Transistor, you can fire off an action that will do something somewhere else. Or if you have a new, let's say, Patreon subscriber, you can hook it into Transistor to add them to your private podcast automatically and have them be emailed. So I think there's a ton of possibilities. So it's going to be interesting to see what people come up with.
Yeah. And that's kind of the cool thing about Zapier is that you're not limited by your own imagination. Now, the user, who in our case is the creator, and they're the ones who are doing creative things with Transistor, they get to be creative in how they want to use this, and they can stack a bunch of integrations together, and they have it automate a bunch of tasks, or enable them to collect payments and have a private podcast. There's just so much cool stuff.
Yeah.
Or if you're doing a corporate podcast, you could like notify a bunch of people by email and over Slack.
Right. Yeah. We had someone today even ask about, they wanted to do something along the lines of backing up their audio and images to S3 on Amazon automatically, but they're like, wanted us to build it into Transistor. And I'm like, you might be able to do that through Zapier. I don't know, but you can at least try it out. Like whenever an episode is published, just have that thing grab the URLs for the audio and image files and use a Zap to like fire it off somewhere else, which I think is possible.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's the other nice thing about it is it really does, for a small team like ours, it gives us the opportunity, like instead of us saying no all the time, we can say, you know what, it's probably possible to do what you want to do through Zapier.
Yeah.
And we don't have to build it or maintain it. We just have to build and maintain our API and then, build and maintain this Zapier integration. So instead of us having to build hundreds or thousands of, different integrations and triggers and automations, we can just build one thing. So yeah, this is really cool. People are already using it.
Yeah.
The next thing we released is Podcast Locked. Do you want to tell people what that is?
This is a new XML tag for your RSS feed that is it's not very widely supported. It's very new, but it kind of came out of the need for people to be able to protect their RSS feeds a little better, to have them not have them be automatically, or not have them be imported into other services without their knowledge, which kind of depends on those other services supporting it, which only a couple do. And they're pretty much only the smaller independent ones like us. But it allows you to basically kind of like domain names, right? Where you can go into Transistor and say, I want to lock this podcast. It will put an RS or a XML tag in your feed that says this podcast is locked. If another service that supports it gets a request to import the feed, it will actually not let you do it. And on the flip side of that, we won't import feeds that are locked. So you actually have to unlock it on your end before you're able to import it into our service. And then related to that, we actually turned on email verification too. So if you're importing an RSS feed, we actually send an email to the email that's listed in the RSS feed as the owner. And then that email has to be approved and clicked on, and then the import can proceed. So
yeah,
kind of another step in the right direction. I know places like Anchor, we're seeing a lot of RSS feeds imported. They were just being pirated and rebroadcast under a different name and all. It's just...
This actually gives me hope because, the open ecosystem of RSS is messy. And one of the disadvantages is, on a owned platform like YouTube, they can lock down everything. Now, people still have illegal, downloading apps and stuff, but it's just a lot harder to do. And with RSS, it's easy. All the enclosures are right there. Like you can just like go and find it.
I mean, even with this lock tag, like you can still see the whole feed even if it's turned on. It's not like there's nothing stopping you personally from importing it and pulling things down. But
yes, but what I like about it is, to me, this is the right amount of flexibility and openness, but it's allowing us in the ecosystem to police it ourselves. So if This American Life doesn't want people to be able to just like import their RSS feed wherever, any reputable hosting provider now will not, will recognize the locked tag.
Yeah. So it's been great, and it's actually kind of cool that it's like I was working with other like owners of other podcast platforms that do the same thing we do, and everyone's cooperative and friendly and nice, and like no one's trying to like prevent other people from doing this or steal people's customers. It's great. I think that shows kind of how healthy the ecosystem is and how well the businesses are doing.
Yeah,
maybe if businesses weren't doing well, it'd be a different scenario. But
yeah. When we get into the Hunger Games, we'll see how nice it is.
Right. Yeah.
Next up, we have the big one. Easily submit your podcast to Spotify, Apple, and other podcast players. So a new distribution screen. Yeah,
there's we didn't have this before. It was kind of all over the place, but there's one centralized distribution area now where you can kind of see where your podcast is submitted to and included in, but also, easily submit your podcast to several different directories and podcast apps. It's a little messy. Some things are a little bit hacked together because there's just no good way to do it, but it does make things quite a bit easier for a number of services and a good starting point for a lot of people to be able to submit to a handful of places pretty much instantaneously after they add their first episode.
Yeah, this is huge. There's a Tesla podcast that just signed up, and I was kind of watching them because they were reaching out on Twitter, and then I was watching them sign up and upload their first episodes. And in the old days, we would have received like a bunch of customer support tickets, and they would have also been kind of stuck. Like they get their first episode up, but they don't get that magic of being able to say, hey, this is where it is. And I just saw a bunch of tweets come through like, okay, everybody, it's up on Spotify, and then it's up on Podcast Addict, Breaker, Player, Listen Notes. So you know that they just went through and clicked each of those submit buttons on our distribution list. And it's just so fast compared to what it was before.
Yeah.
And it gives you that feeling as a user of joy. It's just like, I've created this thing and now I'm sending it out to the world on all these different channels. So I think like emotionally, this was the most resonant, feature.
Yeah.
We had people sharing it on Twitter, like, oh, look how easy this is. This one's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a good start. I think there's still a handful of things I want to finish up as far as confusion around importing and switching hosts and things like that. And yeah, it's a good start, I think.
Yeah. And related, you created this distribution checklist. It's actually like an onboarding checklist.
Yeah. It's just kind of an interstitial screen between, you see before you can submit your podcast to directories. It doesn't even let you do it. It just tells you that, you're missing artwork, you're missing, you have to have at least one episode uploaded. You have to choose a category and choose a language for your RSS feed before you can submit it anywhere. So it prevents people from getting confused as to why maybe if they're trying to submit to Apple Podcasts and they're missing something, why, what are they missing, or just kind of prevents extra customer support, but also kind of, I don't know, let people fill out their podcast a little better.
Yeah. Actually, sidebar. I'm not sure if this is related to the election. It probably is, and actually I've also noticed that like Helen and Yatunde are getting to tickets just before I can even get there. So often I get to my office here on the West Coast and like all the tickets are gone. So I was trying to figure out like, is our volume down, or are they just getting to tickets faster, or is it the election, or is it related to all these new features we just released, which actually, is reducing our support volume.
Yeah. I mean, it could be, it could be any number of those.
I mean, messages received is down month over month, but it's really hard to tell. Like there could be so many, because it's also like a sales channel. So
right.
I can't tell if this is overall.
I would imagine last week, especially, there's probably part of it was due to the election.
Yeah. Like October is down, but it's all kind of within the realm of, there's nothing like dramatic,
Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens in November. But yeah, those things, getting to release all of those at once, that was pretty big for us. Like,
yeah, that was a long time coming, and a lot of interrupted work based on how our moods are feeling and how we were feeling and how much we were able to do in a given day.
Yeah. Should we talk about that a bit? Like, just.
Oh, I think we were both kind of feeling it, but there were weeks where I got almost nothing done because I was just stressed out about the state of the world and wasn't sleeping well, and would sit down to do work and just kind of poked around for a while.
Yeah.
I got little things done. I would have to like take a break and just start something new. Like I hadn't finished the distribution page yet. And then I started on updating how our importing process worked because I couldn't focus on the other one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of wheel spinning happening.
I wonder if other people are better at this than we are. Like, it just seems like there's some folks that, and I don't know if this is better, but I have some friends who are just able to ignore the world and just focus on work. Like they can continue to crank stuff out. But for me personally, like, yeah, when there's the state of the world, to me, like, touches everything. And so, whether I'm worrying about politics or climate change or whatever, sometimes it's just like, or if it's just something in my personal life, like it's hard for me to shut that off. Like if I feel crappy, it kind of like just permeates everything, Well, I mean, yeah, we're human too. And and actually you said something that was, I think, interesting, which is like, you were like, man, I'm so glad we have this recurring revenue business right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's
so stable.
It really does allow you to step back and take a break, or just like, I still felt bad about not being able to work and get much done, but like there's times where you just, you can do customer support and that's enough.
Yeah.
Right. If your brain's not in it, then there's no sense trying to force yourself to, I don't know, be creative or get something done. That just the work's going to be sloppy and not come out good. Or
well, and really, this is like, that's how you get burnout, right? Is you push yourself beyond. You're not listening to your body. You're not listening to your soul, and you're just trying to like cram everything into this dark box in your in your heart, and then get some work done. But for me, just I can see, if we wanted to, what we could do to like grow 300% year over year. Like I can see that path, but there's just something really nice and sustainable about what we've built. And I think there's so many people out there that want to build a business like this. We should definitely enjoy it while we have it, like this is like what so many people want is, I just want something that runs. And once it's up and running, like you work really hard and you get the right market, you get, the product right. There's all these things that have to fall into place. A lifetime of experience, everything. But once you get here, it is okay to not be constantly guilting yourself because you're not working enough or whatever.
Right.
I think there's something nice about just being able to enjoy it and go, yeah, you know what? I'm not feeling good right now, and I'm going to do whatever I can to take care of myself.
Yeah. That said, I mean, I think it does allow us to step back and either take a break or rethink things, but there probably will be a point where we're going to have to think about, and we have talked about this a little bit, kind of diversifying what we're offering, because I don't like the podcasting ecosystem. It's not going to be like this forever.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what'll happen or when it'll change or what's going to change or if the bottom's going to drop out immediately, but it's not going to, I don't think we can depend on it staying like this forever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've definitely felt that. And yeah, I definitely don't want to get apathetic either. There's like a tension between those things. I think diversifying is an interesting idea. Like, how do you diversify as a bootstrapper?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a good one. If you're listening right now and you've got ideas, reach out to us. Let us know. How do you diversify as a bootstrapper? Some of that could be, like Jason and David diversified. They took money off the table with Bezos. That's one way. WildBit has multiple products. That's another way. Some folks just take their earnings and invest it.
Yeah.
Right. There's all sorts of ways to do that. And yeah, I think that's an interesting topic for bootstrappers. Like, once you hit something, there's still so many risks that you're exposed to, mostly because if somebody with deep pockets decides to come in to the market, it is difficult to fight those folks. So, yeah, let us know what you think. I think we should close this one off.
Yeah.
We'll try to get back now that we're feeling a bit better. Now that we've come out of our caves, we'll try to record a few of these. Let us know what you want to hear from us these days. We're very much just running this business now, and if you have questions about what that's like, or what we're thinking or doing, reach out. And we have a few new Patreon supporters. Do you want to read out this list?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks always to everyone on Patreon for supporting us, even if we're not recording. We have the Take It EV podcast. Is that the one you mentioned that talks about Tesla? And
no, that's they've been with us for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah, these folks. So we have a couple EV podcasts now.
All right, cool. Ethan Gunderson, who I think I know, who used to live in Chicago. So thanks, Ethan.
Nice.
If that's the same Ethan, I think it is. And Sophia Quintero, Diogo, Chris Willow, Mason Hensley, Borja Soler, Ward Sandler, Eric Lima, James Sowers, Travis Fisher, Matt Buckley, Russell Brown, Evandro Sassi, Pradyumna Schembecker, Noah Prail, Robert Simplicio, Colin Gray, Josh Smith, Ivan Kirkovic, Brian Ray, Shane Smith, Austin Lovelace, Simon Bennett, Michael Sitver, Paul Jarvis, and Jack Ellis, Dan Buda, my brother, Darby Frey, Samori Augusto, Dave Young, Brad from Canada, Sammy Schukert, Mike Walker, Adam Devander, Dave Junta.
Well, my voice kind of came back there for a second. Did you hear it?
Yeah. And finally, Kyle Fox from GetRewardful.com.
Thanks, everybody. We will see you next week.